Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks. Somebody sent me this picture. I found there's a few mistakes right there. I'm going to try to correct that, like right here. But that's beside the point. He wants to know how this person drew this bevel. So I just typed out the same word. I use Arial bold or black, which is a bold font. And then if we convert it to a curve, it'll help you because now there'll be a midpoint. And if you hold down the control button, that way you know you're right in the center. If you don't, a text, now this you can't. There's no midpoint on that. So we're just going to have to eyeball it. And that's what you'd have to do if you were just using the, as a text. Well, let's go back. So now I got a midpoint, hold down. You know what? I can go all the way across. Now I'm going to have to delete these lines that I do not want. And I got to add a few lines. I just want those lines. I'm a little bit long on that line. And now I need to add a couple more lines. And this we will get a midpoint. Right there's a midpoint. Hold down the control button, make it perpendicular. Midpoint, hold down the control button, get it perpendicular. Now I want to delete. Let's look at this. Yep, delete all these lines. Delete that line. Now we're going to take the Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to actually do it kind of in that color. Let's say that. Now it's too purple. So what I can do is take the Smart Fill tool. I don't know if they need that color. Get the Smart Fill tool and take the eyedropper tool and kind of get that color. And I'm just smart filling all the parts that I've closed in. Now what I could do is I'm going to nudge them down because I want that line. I'll be able to get to that line later. And I think I just figured out how maybe they have those lines extended. Let's move this text up. See how the X looks longer? So let's take this and make it white. It's going to be hard to see for just a second, but you know what? Let's do a yellow box trick. And then, you know what? Let's do a gray box. That way maybe we can see it better. Go to Object, Order, back a page. See the white? Now I'm going to get the bevel tool under Effects and Bevel. I'm not going to play around with anything. You know, I moved that somehow. Well, what? Oh, I picked the blend tool. I do that a lot. I use the blend more than I use the bevel. So there it made that bevel, and I just had to bevel every piece. I do not think you could bevel multiple pieces. Nope, see it's grayed out. So you have to do it one by one, which isn't that big a deal because they are separate pieces. So you're beveling separate pieces basically. This will be a pretty cool font. I like the idea of the white line showing up underneath the bevel. Now the white line might not be on top, but we're going to grab those white lines and move them down, and they're not. So I'm going to go to Object, Order, Front of Page, and I'm going to make them a little bit thicker. That looks pretty good. Now I'm hanging over the edge a little bit, but they're on the original, they're hanging over the edge a lot. Yeah, so I'm not doing anything worse. You could actually, I think it's because of the bevel. Let's move our lines out of the way, and let's move our text out of the way. Well, I didn't want that text. I wanted this text. And let's see, I'm going to move my gray box over. You know what we could do to get rid of those lines? Let's try this. Let's move this out of the way. Take these and convert them to an object. and then group them. I don't know if this will work or not, but we'll try it. I paged up. Now let's take both these and let's intersect them. Now let's move well, that isn't going to work. Well, you know what? It would, quite possibly. Let's take this and go up to Object, convert it to a curve. Let's fill them in with white, take away the outline, and now let's move them back over and up into the front of and whenever you create a new object, it changes the order. Let's see if I don't know. It looks better maybe, but the other way was not too bad. Let's look at it a little closer. That's how I would do it. There's a little bit of mistake right there, which I don't like. Let's fix that. Let's back up. Let's look at these things with an outline, and let's fix that right there. I think that'll make it look a lot better. Now this is grouped together, so we got to go to Object, Group, and Ungroup. I wonder if we can weld this. Good. Well, that didn't work. So because it's an object, though, we could select both these, holding down the control button and put that there. And then we can actually delete that line. Because then now we're going to use the Smart Fill tool. I think that's about the only, see, that did weld. But what we can do is just select those two and bring them down, holding down the yeah, the other ones aren't going to matter. That's all one line. That may be what the problem is, break curve apart. I wonder now if I can weld it, which really isn't going to matter in this case, I don't think, because we're going to be able to fill them in anyway. But now let's select them all. See if we can't fill them in with white. Take away the outline. I must have not had the X. Let me back up again. Select it all. Put white in the middle. Take away the outline and move them up. We create a new object, so it's behind the page, order, front of page. And somehow I didn't get somehow I got rid of the E white letter. Let's look at it under wireframe. Yep, it's there. Let's go back to view, enhanced, select it. You know what? Here's the problem. Yep, select it all again, make it white on the inside. Well, maybe because I manipulated it, I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool and just fill that in with white. There we go. Now we're going to take away the outline on that object. Well, sometimes the Smart Fill tool is going to do that, but then we can move all that stuff up. And we can move this up. Well, I'm going to have to put them in the front of the page. So let me just back up. You know what? I'm going to get rid of that. See, when you're working with that gray box, you're going to grab it. So now I can select all this and go Object, Order, Front of Page. And then when I move them up, they'll be in the exact same spot. That looks much better, cleaner. That's a difference of opinion right there on that. You could actually, I didn't mean to go this far, but I'm going to keep going because you could actually change that little nib right there. Let's get back to they were an outline. Okay, and let's move these up. Go up to Object, Order, Front of Page. And that little bitty nib right there, we can take, and they only have to do it on the X. We could just move that up. Take that, actually take that note away, and then do that on here. It's not really as bad on this one, but that's because of the bevel. Just try to stay in that line. I'm not going to do the bottom. Well, let's go ahead and finish on the world's worst, and I just can't stop. Just try to stay inside that line. You don't have to take away that node. Now let's see if we can't turn all those white. Probably the smartest thing to do now, you're this far and trying to figure out how to get it apart, just use the Smart Fill tool. See, that one should fill in. Well, it's actually different. But see how now, well, I'll show it in just a second, how the nib is all the way to the top. Now we're going to have a little cross section there. But you know, that would be a kind of a cool effect right there. Now we got a lot of lines, but we can take those lines away in just a second, I'm pretty sure. But now you can see how that's going right across the top. That looks much better. I'm kind of glad I did it now. Smart Fill back. Fill that in. Woo. Fill that in, fill that in, fill that in. And you're pretty much good to go. Now let's take it all and right click no outline. Now let's look at it under the gray box effect. So that took a little bit longer than I expected, but I think it's perfect. Anyway, I hope that helped them a little bit. Thank you for watching.